Okay, this is video 3. I'd like to continue in saying that from where I left off, that after that shocking experience of going a couple of miles away and not knowing my way, also under a lot of tremendous stress around what was going on, when I got home, I said to myself, I'm never gonna go places where I don't know my way anymore, so that'll never happen to me again. Now, I try to pick up my life where I left off. I used to love to go shopping. We had a lot of stores within a mile, half a mile. So I remember going to some of the favorite stores I liked with my mom, which we always did, and being in the store and suffering from bad panic and almost passing out, feeling like I want to die, begging my mom, please, can we leave? I don't feel good. I need to go home. And it continued to be like that no matter where I went, sometimes just one street away to a store. I'd be begging my mom, I want to come home, and I don't feel well. Next thing I know, I couldn't go out very far. I was mostly stay on my street. I seen times where I couldn't even go off my porch from the panic attacks. I couldn't reach out and go to a doctor. The psychiatrists were out of town. I could no longer go that far, so I could not return or find a new doctor. There were no psychiatrists in my city. So I kind of lived my life like that. I didn't talk much to my friends about what I was going through. I don't know, I was embarrassed, didn't want to talk about it, so I didn't mention it. But by the time it got to be about 18, my friends started drifting away. They got cars or they moved away, found new friends, and I think pretty much by 18 I didn't have very much friends left due to not being able to go places and follow my friends. At 18 I tried, because I wasn't working. I had never worked because I was 15 when I became hardcore homebound. And I tried at 18 to file for welfare. Was denied because I didn't have any children. I didn't qualify. So I tried to file for disability. At the time, the doctor I had from 9 to 13 was alive. He did give his report. They wanted me to go see a psychiatrist, but I wasn't able to go that far, so I couldn't. I found a physical doctor that made a house call. He wrote a report, but the disability didn't want to accept his word. Because of no psychiatrist, I was denied disability. At the time, I didn't have anybody that could try to appeal it or go out there and find a lawyer or anything like that. I had no money. I didn't have no help to get out there or anybody that could go in my place. So I just didn't collect anything. My father supported me till I was 26 years old. At age 26, shortly after my mom passed away, which was very devastating to me. I was closest to my mom, and it was very awful to lose my mother. She was my safe person, my secure person, and person I trusted the most in the whole world. And after I lost her, then I attempted to file again for SSI, and at that time they sent out a psychiatrist to me, and not long after I did get on. I was hoping to get on SSDI, but the doctor's papers they had seen, and when I was 18 they claimed they no longer had them, and the psychiatrist had passed away. They could no longer find his medical records. So instead of being put on SSDI like I should have been, because I was very young when I started to be sick, and I was put on SSI, and I could never find the medical papers of that doctor. I tried hiring a lawyer, and they can't be found anywhere. So I pretty much lived from 13 to 26, 27 years old about, before, without medications. Just stayed home, didn't go very far. If I had panic, just came in the house and stayed like that. It was at 27 years old that after my mom passed away, there was a family member who had kind of teased me about the death of my mother. You know, ha ha, you ain't got a mother anymore. You're all alone in this world. You ain't got nobody. Nobody cares about you, and stuff like that. And at the time, I didn't have no friends. I didn't have no visitors. Nobody come to visit me for years. Our life has always been alone. I used to get down on my knees and beg that person to please don't talk like that. It made it only worse, you know, to be teased about my mother. The next thing I know, I started suffering panic in the house, no place to hide. Little sounds, dripping faucet would just startle my nerves. Sound would startle my nerves easily, and I was kind of living with panic all the time in my house. There was no escape from it. I felt so awful. I was so weak. It just kind of wore me down, I guess, because my heart was racing fast, and my blood pressure was very high. I got to the point after about a month living like that, I gave in to my family to call a rescue and have me brought to the ER room and in the hospital in my city, which is about half a mile from my home. They called in a psychiatrist that worked there, and he immediately, my pulse was severely fast. I was only 27. He immediately administered Xanax to me, and he told me that with my pulse and blood pressure going so fast, being so high, and that he said, lucky you're only 27, because an older person, they would suffer heart failure. He said if I didn't get on the medications, that he'd give me 3 months to live, that my heart will fail from going too fast like that. And I had panic so constantly, the worse you could get it, no matter where I was. I would take anything. You know, I didn't know much about Xanax, but anything, if it could give me some relief, I would take it. So he recommended I go to a mental health clinic, because that's the only place there was close by that would take my medical, because the medical I had, no private doctor would accept that. So I did as he said. I was about a street away from me, the mental health clinic, and that was a not so good experience. Spent 11 years going there. I was not very accepted because I had agoraphobia. Was constantly told it's not a psychotic illness, you don't belong here, and stuff like that. I was just about making it one street with severe panic. I had one male psychiatrist. He wasn't bad. It was the social workers. Most of them were not that nice. They didn't like working with an agoraphobic person. Then he transferred me to a female psychiatrist who I had for about 10 years. She was very nice. She knew a lot about medications and wasn't too bad. You know, seeing her, it was the social workers that were, a lot of them were very difficult and kind of didn't want me going there because they didn't like treating somebody with that illness. They tried to transfer me to they wanted me to transfer to another of their clinics out of town, which I couldn't make, so they were pressuring me. They were going to dismiss me from treatment because I can't go to the other outpatient place they had. So there's a lot of, I went through a lot of hell at the clinic. I hope I never, I would never want to go through it again. There's a lot to tell about my treatment at the clinic. It wasn't, there's a lot of things that happened over there that that shouldn't. I was there for like 11 years, and you know, there's so much to tell. I mean, I got laughed at. You have agoraphobia, you deserve to crawl. What we should do with you is put you in a car, and take you against your will to other clinics and stuff like that. It was a lot of very mean, cruel people that I came across that I would never wish anyone to meet. I mean, the doctors in the beginning were okay. It was the social workers that were difficult. When I got to 1995, that's when they decided they wanted to get rid of everybody with that illness in their clinic, and they deliberately switched me from a good psychiatrist to a bad one, against my will, against the doctor's will. The one that was a decent psychiatrist wanted to keep me, but they had other things in mind, so they switched me to a bad psychiatrist, and she started abruptly pulling meds really bad, yelling at me, insulting me. She's doing it to other people too. It wasn't only me. It was everybody that went to that clinic that was agoraphobic or panic disorder. So she lied to diagnose and said I didn't have agoraphobia, and they turned around, and even though I hired an attorney to try to fight the dismissal because of my meds. It wasn't the counseling. I couldn't care less if I had counseling or not. It was the medications. When you've been on Xanax and diazepam and trazodone for as many years as I have, it's pretty scary when your heart's 130 with the meds and knowing that you could lose your meds and that. So that was a very, very awful time. By 1997, you know, even with the attorney, it kind of dragged it a little bit from them throwing me out. But by 1997, which they did say you're dismissed, never to come back here again. You do not have a psychotic illness. We do not want to treat agoraphobia or panic disorder. You do not belong here. And that's how I ended up out of the clinic after 11 years